And now for the big finale. Finally. Whew. Boy, what a project. I give you Larry Goldstein on Larry Goldstein. Let's find out what he's actually thinking. Quote, the opposite of war isn't peace, it's creation. Okay. The choreographer who worked with Larry on the show, the musical theater graduate who knows this stuff, has studied this show, as well as La Boheme that it's based on, says that on top of everything else, Larry completely missed the entire point of the show. Not surprising. What's he doing in rehearsals? Apparently, he thinks the purpose of rehearsals is to spend the entire time fantasizing. And when I say fantasizing, I want you to appreciate how hard it is for me to resist using the M word, which might be inflammatory, but really, when you read this, you might consider it an understatement. Fantasizing about being the composer of the show, looking for some otherwise completely irrelevant quote from which to, even then not at all smoothly, launch his public proclamation of himself as, quote, the greatest possibility of being a human being. And, yeah, that's what I've seen. Oh, yeah. And compare himself to Martin Luther King. Now, yeah. What other word could describe such narcissistic, self-aggrandizing, show and student ignoring, ego stroking? When Larry writes, perhaps we should have discussed what it meant to be an accompanist, but I think it's best we get it flat now in response to my offering to give free private lessons on my own time, and invites me to quit 2 weeks before opening, that's how much he's panicking. That's the degree to which it is completely true what your faculty member says, that he doesn't get it, that other people have work to do. This is an opera. He has no non-musical scenes to direct. He hired me for 35 hours of what are supposed to be nothing but musical and dance rehearsals, and I'm even offering to do the work on my own time for free. He is saying, how dare you try to work during my masturbation time? Oh, I was going to resist using that word. Oh well. Quote, maybe creation is and has always been the greatest possibility of being a human being. Aha! I've become a creationist. Aha! Larry's become a creationist. Perhaps someone should discuss with Larry what it means to be a creationist. More than one person has told me that if they were me, they would be ashamed to be a graduate of this school. Can you blame them? Assuming he meant what I think he meant, as usual, he's not only wrong, he's got it backwards. He was at all times nothing but an obstructionist. After getting it flat with Larry, what it means to be an accompanist, a director, a musical director, an honest businessman, an educator, a gentleman, what a rehearsal is, what practice is, what a piano is, what a microphone is, and what the word impossible means. That's really important, by the way. He really needs to know what the word impossible means. Along with the robbery check, he writes, quote, you were hired to fulfill my vision of the show and you found that impossible. Yes, because it's impossible. This is not Larry's field. It is mine. He knows nothing about it. He is so astonishingly incompetent that he was having your students sing on top of the band without microphones. They will not be heard. They will lose their voices, so it's negligent. He's not even a competent babysitter. We had another example of that earlier. and I can't hear them, so I can't accompany them. A professional in a field that he knows and cares nothing about, is telling me, a professional in a field that he knows and cares nothing about is telling him it's impossible. He is not living by the tandem philosophy that others be treated with respect and he can learn from them, and he is breaching contract. And if he says it's impossible to have microphones, and I tell him it's impossible to do it without microphones, which is not only coming from a professional, not only common sense to anyone with half a brain, he has seen it in himself. He's seen it himself that it won't work. He cannot then, when I tell him it's impossible, say, I accept your resignation, and then, when I'm still offering to do the show, say, we're going with microphones, hire his friend as he wanted to do all along, and then say that I willingly left while he was relying on me to fulfill my contract, which is the worst thing an accompanist can do. So after getting it flat with him, if nothing else, what the word impossible means, you might want to get it flat with him before he causes your school even more embarrassed, that in the future, when publicly proclaiming himself the greatest possibility of being a human being, that a creationist is a person of religion who doesn't believe in evolution, which is what we're supposed to be teaching in schools. And now the big punchline. Quote, and this creation, which I thank you for being a part of, is the closest I've come to Martin Luther King's dream. That all voices may be heard